Well, my friends, we must talk about the latest and the greatest of Micah Morris and his PGA Tour sanctioned first ever event. Results, what happened? We just got to talk about it. But before we do, thanks for watching. Make sure, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification so you don't miss any podcasts that come out. Grateful you're here. Let's dive into what happened. All right. As many of you may or may not know, YouTube sensation, Instagram star, whatever you want to call it, Micah Morris receives a sponsor's exemption for which would be his debut of a PGA sanctioned event, the PGA Tour Canada, and up in Toronto at the Osprey Valley Open is where Micah Morris made his debut as on not a professional debut, but his PGA Tour debut, which if you follow along, Michael, former Good member, went off on his own, does his own channel, does very well, great stuff, and he's been documenting his journey into making it onto the PGA Tour. So he gets a sponsor's exemption. And how these work is like this. The sponsors of the tournament. So of this Osprey Valley Open, the sponsors are, I can't even pronounce the name. It's presented by Votarantim Cementos CMB Aggregates. Now, I know Votarantim Cementos is one company. I believe CMB is another company, or it might be CMB Aggregates or Aggregates. I don't even know. But I'll tell you what I do know is that I've looked them up since. I've been like Googling and seeing who they are and what they are, which I never would have done to begin with. Interesting that we do that. All right, so Micah has been getting, unfortunately, tons of hate. I am actually going to support him 100%, by the way, in this podcast because we'll talk about it. Let me know what you think. Like, there's been a lot of comments that say, oh, he should have given, they should have given that sponsor's exemption to somebody more worthy or somebody who had a chance of winning, which I guess those two things would equal the same thing, right? That's what they mean, I'm assuming, when they say somebody who's more deserving of the sponsor's exemption, somebody who could actually win or contend. In other words, people are saying Micah can't win or contend. And he finished dead last, so didn't even make the cut, didn't even sniff the cut, missed it by a ton. All right, but then we got to go back and say, was he worthy of the sponsor's exemption? Well, what is a sponsor's exemption? Every tournament, PGA Tour, Korn Ferry, PGA Tour Canada, every tournament, the sponsor of that tournament or the multiple sponsors are allowed to invite anybody they want. Anybody can apply. And they can pick any person. They can put a, gorilla in there. They could put a puppy dog. They could put a 40 handicapper. They could put anybody in the tournament they wish as a sponsor's exemption. It doesn't matter. You could play golf. You could not play golf. This is how like Steph Curry gets in some of these Korn Ferry events. Sponsors smartly would offer exemptions to these players. So why would they do this? They would do it so that they can get, obviously, recognition, some publicity from these players playing in their event. And PGA Tour Canada, I never look at PGA Tour Canada scores, ever. I think in my life, I may have looked 4 or 5 times, a handful of times. Typically, when I know somebody who's in the event, I'm like, hey, how's my buddy doing? I know he's playing in his first Canadian Tour event. Let me check him out. Let me see where he finished. Or after the Good Championship, I started looking, where this player who played where do they land in these PGA Tour Canadian events? So, because we got to meet them, we got to see them play. Cameron Sisk won. So then we go look at where they actually play and how do they do in that field. So, other than that, never looked until this. Where did he finish? I'm there Thursday, looking at the leaderboard. Oh, what time does he tee off? I want to see how's he going to do. And okay, so we'll break down his scorecard here in a second and see really what went wrong. But let's just go here. The sponsor's job, the sponsor's role is to create interest, buzz, eyeballs on their event. So if they give it to somebody who actually has a chance of winning, let's just put that person in that category, right? Let's just say Micah doesn't have a chance of winning. Does he or doesn't he? It's irrelevant, but let's just say he doesn't. And let's put somebody in who does. Let's pick a whatever top player. But the thing about that person, nobody knows who they are. Nobody. They don't have really any social media following because they're not, let's say, influencers or content creators. They're golfers grinding away, trying to make it as a professional golfer. Okay, so no one knows who they are. So would they generate any publicity for the sponsor? No, zero. Even if they won, nobody would care. Nobody even knows who won this event. Nobody. The only people that know who won this event know because Micah Morris was in it. The only reason, if you know who won this Canadian Tour event, the Osprey Valley Open, you only know because you're either that guy, his family, or you were following Micah and you wanted to see how he finished and you accidentally saw the winner. So yes, the sponsor's job is to get eyeballs on the event. What did they do? Well, let's get a guy who's got a ton of eyeballs and who can actually play pretty good golf. And that's what they did. They actually did what they wanted to do. They wanted to get more people watching. They got more people watching. Success on the sponsor by selecting Micah Morris. What would I do if I got a sponsor exemption invitation from, let's say, a Champion Tour event? Let's say the Champions Tour was like, hey, Matt, we know you're trying to qualify for Champions Tour. We'd like to give you a sponsor exemption. You bet I'd take it. Would I care if I finished last place? Maybe. No one wants to finish in last. But you know what? That's not the point. The point is, this dude, Micah, took the sponsor exemption like a champ, put himself out there. Most people don't even put themselves out there. If he were to do what a lot of people have said, oh, you should have turned it down because it's better to go to somebody more worthy. Ridiculous. What that is somebody he's actually trying to make it on tour. So he's grinding, he's practicing, he's documenting, he's going to qualifiers, pre-qualifiers. He's going on mini tour events. He's trying to make it. If then all of a sudden someone who's trying to make it says, nah, I probably shouldn't take this because I probably don't have a chance, then you probably don't have a chance. Like, you got to believe in you. If you don't believe in you, then forget it. You should just pack it up and not even try because you're not going to make it no matter what. You've got to have that belief. You got to be willing to put yourself out there. I commend the guy. Congrats for putting yourself out there. And last place, who cares? Like, that's irrelevant. What's relevant is you stepped up, you took it like a champ, and you put yourself out there. Congratulations. And if we look at the score, and I've put myself out there from time to time in events. That's what we do as golfers. You got to play to have a chance. You can't win if you don't show up. And if you don't show up, that's even worse. So he showed up. Is there somebody there who is like, oh man, if he didn't take that, I could have got in and I could have done. Well, so what? Like, the sponsor, like I said, the sponsor gets to pick people they want. It's smart for the sponsors to pick somebody who gets eyeballs. Now, when we talk about eyeballs, put this in perspective here. If you look at Max Homa, popular PGA Tour player, tons and tons of lists, social media, like Twitter, he's very popular guy. Here's the thing. When he collaborated with Bob Does Sports, he got more views by being in Bob Does Sports YouTube video than he did when he's outside of the top 5 on the PGA Tour in a tournament. If he's not in the top 10, like, he gets like no television coverage on the weekend. So the watch time, the views, the eyeballs on Max Homa were greater when he collaborates with a YouTuber than they are when he plays an average week on the PGA Tour. In other words, you're going to get more return on your investment if you're playing with a YouTuber like Bob Does Sports or Rick Shields or somebody like that. You're going to get more eyeballs than on tour. So flip that. That's what the sponsor did here. They just flipped it around and said, guess what? We're going to get more eyeballs on our event by having a creator come in and play than if we had just another professional golfer play that nobody knows. And even the professional golfers you do know, they get more, there's more incentive to watch them when they're collaborating with YouTubers than when they're playing on the PGA Tour outside of the major championships. That's just a fact. I've done the numbers. I do the analytics. I look at it. That is a fact. YouTubers get more views consistently, like the top YouTubers, than tour players do. So it makes sense for these guys to bring in creators, popular creators versus somebody else. So this poor guy's getting all kinds of hate. So if you go to the PGA Tour Canada page and you scroll till you get to the leaderboard and you go all the way to the bottom. All right, let's just look at Mike. Like, first round was really the culprit where he shoots an 82. But what did he actually do in that round that destroyed him? Like, he starts off, shoots 1 over on the front 9. That's not bad for your first 9 holes at a PGA sanction. That's good. Like, I'm watching that unfold. I'm like, dude's all right. He was 2 over and then he birdied 9. I'm like, first birdie, all right. 9th hole, first birdie. Maybe we can get something going here. Then he makes a bogey, and then he makes another bogey. Then he makes a triple. All right, that triple can derail a guy. I've been there many times. We'll all be there. We've all been there. So he gets a triple on that hole, and then he gets a quad on 18. So he had 2 blow-up holes in his first outing. Man, that's probably 6 less than I would have thought, right? Like, you're going to be nervous, but that first 9, you're like, dude could finish even par. But then he had a couple miss at 2 bad holes. So, all right, that's what I look at. I'm like, dude had a couple bad holes. It could have been 2 bad swings. Would he just go out of bounds or something? Like, it's not that big a deal. And then you bump it over to round 2 and like, okay, sleeping on an 82 and just trying to stay off of social media and out of the like public and just put your head down. Like, a lot of people would be like, dude, just get me out of here. I'm going to withdraw. I'm going to have an injury, whatever. I can't do this. No, he comes back and he drops a 75. All right, so he's still 4 over. But what happens in the second round? He starts off with a good par, then double bogey. All right, now the wheels for me would probably just be spinning. I'd be like checked out. Like, dude, forget it. Get me out of here. This ain't going to happen. Then another bogey. Mentally, that could destroy you again. But then steadies the ship, gets a birdie, comes back, another bogey, and then just a couple more bogeys. Like, it wasn't that bad. He kind of hung in there for round 2. So really, if you look at his tournament, those 2 rounds, he had like 3 bad holes. That's it. And then he is, in my opinion, all right, so he's last, right? And by a long shot, but forget that. He is just a couple of these events away from going under par. It's easy to turn that around and flip it into like a 3 under for the event for those 2 rounds. That's easy for a pro like that. That's not that difficult because you're really just talking about probably a couple swings, a couple bad breaks. And then mental stuff that you can work on as you get more experience in these types of events. So if I'm a sponsor in Canadian Tour, I'm like, let's keep this guy in the mix because he's getting publicity. Look, I wouldn't be talking about it if it didn't happen. We wouldn't be talking about the Osprey Open, right? Like, who would do that? Nobody. So sorry, but we're talking about it because of the fact that they put Micah in it. So the more creators that get in these events that actually could do something, the more discussion there is going to be about these events. Put Fat Perez in there. He's a decent player. He's not trying to be a pro, but again, you're not after that as a sponsor. You're after eyeballs. I guarantee you more people have searched these companies than ever before. They might have sent them little hate emails like, how could you do such a thing? All publicity is good publicity. It's not like Micah's going to disrespect the brand. He didn't. He's not going to say anything dumb. He's not going to be like disrespectful in what he said. He said everything right. He said even after the fact, his posts, go to his Instagram. He's taken it. Of course, you're not going to, hopefully not say anything disparaging publicly or like humiliate yourself. He's not that kind of guy. He's the kind of guy that's going to step up. He is a competitor. He's going to battle. He's going to fight. He's not going to give up. I give the guy props. 2 thumbs up. All the credit in the world. Keep grinding. Don't let the haters take you down. They're never ending. Who cares? But just keep it going. I think it was great not only on the sponsors, I think it was great on Micah, and I think it was great overall for the game. And I think more of this should happen consistently because there's more eyeballs when creators are in there than people that, let's say, don't do that, influencing or creating for a living. Let me know your thoughts. I think it's great. Great job, Micah. Congrats. Double thumbs up. Thanks for listening. Take care. Good luck out there, everyone. See you next time.